Good morning. And a couple of compliments on my tie. It is for the city of Eagan, but I get to wear it all night and into tomorrow too for St. Patty's Day, so that's great. So thank you all for coming today. I am John Altoff. I am the interim president of the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of the Dakota County Regional Chamber, we're proud to welcome you to the beginning of the State of the City season. Kicks off with Eagan and their 2023 State of the City. The DCR Chamber, for those of you who aren't familiar, we represent 9 cities, and Eagan is our largest number of members. So it's fitting that this be the first kickoff. As a result, we have a long partnership working together to support not only the city and community. Today is a great example of that. So it's a great way to connect with each other. It's a nice group, as it always is. And we want to celebrate how we're all better when we work together. And I want to thank our sponsors today, which of course make this happen. Gopher Resources, Summit Orthopedics, Think Bank, and Enjoy Eagan. So I also want to thank some people that are servants to our community. So we have public officials that are here today. We have school district representatives that are here today. And we also have a lot of people here in public safety. And so I'd like to ask our elected public officials, our school district representatives, and our public safety folks, if you would please rise so we can thank you for your service. Thank you for what each of you do for us each and every day. Now, there's a lot going on in Eagan and a lot to talk about, so I'm excited at this point to turn it over to Eagan's Mayor, Mike Maguire.
Good morning, and welcome to the 2023 Eagan State of the City. Thank you so much for being here today. Let me start by thanking and acknowledging my colleagues on the Eagan City Council. I appreciate and value the years that we've worked together to benefit our community. Thank you for that time and that effort. I also want to thank my wife Janelle and my son Ian up here in the front, not just for being here today, but for their 20 years of support for me doing our community's work. Thank you. And thank you also to those who have made today possible. Our city staff at the Eagan Community Center, our communication engagement team who helped prepare this presentation, and the good folks at ETV for your teamwork, not only in producing the videos that are in today's presentation, but also for broadcasting today's event live. Thank you very much for that effort. I also get to say thank you to Diane Miller. Last year at this time, Diane had just transitioned into her new role as city administrator. Now, a year later, I and we, Diane, thank you for your leadership. And to John, the Chamber's interim president, your team at the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and all the additional sponsors, thank you for hosting today's event as well. And finally, I appreciate all of you who are sitting here today for engaging, connecting, and investing in the future of our city. Give yourself a round of applause. I am proud to share that thanks to many of you in this room, the state of our city is strong. Now, I could end there, but I think I'll go on a little bit. In 2022, for the most part, we had the ability to connect and reconnect without the presence of fear, a bubble, a mask, or a political divide on what should be open or what should be closed. We can't say it was normal, but it definitely wasn't 2020 or 2021. In fact, in rooms, text threads, emails, hallways, and at events just like this, perhaps even this one, we heard again and with more emphasis and sincerity than ever before. Let's connect. It was really good to connect. Let's connect the dots on that. I am ready to reconnect. It's been too long. Let's make sure to connect soon. Connection. What does that mean? Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition is a relationship in which a person, thing, or idea is linked or associated with something else. You'll notice that the first reference in this definition is not about an inanimate object, it's about a person, which most of us in this room are. We are a social species. We love to connect, whether it's through conversation, activities, or technology. We connect through sports, art, literature, interests, and community events. We live the reality of not being able to connect, or only connect in limited ways, for nearly 2 years. But as we've adapted for hundreds of thousands of years, most of us adapted during COVID as well. And we found ways to connect through online forums, FaceTime, Zoom, social media, socially distanced gatherings, and more. And we did this because at the height of a worldwide pandemic, second only to our actual physical health, was our strong desire to connect and to stay connected. Our mental health, one would argue, was dependent on our ability to connect. In order to be a connected community, we must be inclusive, building a shared identity, spirit, and a foundation for everyone to thrive. That's what we as a city, and so many in our community, including many of you, focused on in 2022. In fact, the story of 2022 was how we connected and reconnected the dots of our community, as a city, as businesses, and as people. While each of these may be a bright star on their own, when linked as a constellation, we create purpose, meaning, and so much more. Take a look at what we did and you did in new and old ways to ignite and reignite our connections in 2022.
I've been playing pickleball for 6 to 7 years. And many of those guys we play, some of them are friends of us, some of them we don't know at all.
I'd love to see other people join in because I think we feed off of each other. It's just a shared enjoyment for everybody.
Old friends, new friends, and have, an opportunity to win.
We met in class. We met in moving and grooving to the oldies.
We went out for coffee, and that's what kind of forged our bond.
Right. And then the pandemic hit. We had 4 of us who formed a little pandemic pod so that we could not be quite so isolated. It's hard when you're our age. This is not just fitness and exercise for me, but it's also kind of my sanity too, because it gets me out of the house.
The mission of the Open Door is to make fresh and healthy food accessible to those who might not normally have access to it. And we serve upwards to 14,000 people every single month. We would not be able to do that if it wasn't for community coming together.
I volunteer just because the people are so nice to talk with while you're working.
The clients that come here feel the community because the people that work with the clients are very helpful and hopeful for them.
We actually just started going back into like our neighborhood pop-up this past summer, and our numbers of people who came to those distributions is higher than it was pre-COVID. People just had the most thanks and gratitude for us getting back out into the community.
Due to changing weather and tougher winter seasons, we knew a refrigerated rink would be likely the solution to help us keep people skating in Eagan. This project connected the community during a time where it was hard to reconnect with neighbors, and to see skaters come back and say, oh, we wish we had this here when we were skating is pretty neat to see.
I've been here since Mites, hot dog hockey, jamboree, all that. I think what I love most about hockey is, first of all, you get to meet new people, and you can play year-round because the rinks are refrigerated, and it's just fun to make memories.
Really what I've discovered through our partnership is we have an extremely passionate city staff.
When you go sing places, people talk to you, and it puts such a smile on their face when you sing, especially songs that they know and can sing along to.
It feels amazing to be able to be in person again. I remember that first rehearsal, just the feeling of singing together and everything, and being able to see people's faces and communicate in person. It's been a really beautiful experience.
It was very emotional the very first time we were all back in the same room again and were able to hear that sound, and it feels really good.
I think it's important to feel connected to the community. It helps you, especially with the isolation that was going on. We're very social creatures, so it's important to have a community, especially to support you when you got little ones.
It feels so good to be active in the community again for football. The things we're able to do that we weren't able to do 2 years ago has really helped out our team chemistry this year.
The community has been very supportive of the park from the very beginning. We've had a lot of people volunteer here, be on our board, be advocates for us.
We walked 1 mile in honor of doing good work and charity.
Great music, great friendships, and just a chance to give back to the community.
It's really important to be really inclusive so everyone feels welcome at our events and in our facilities.
Overall, I hope that the community can come and support us and really see what Aurora FC can do.
With all the stuff that's going on in the world, this is a nice, safe place where you can bring your kids. I like coming here with my granddaughter. She has such a good time. The people here are so positive to be around. I just love it.
Even coming to the Wednesday night Market Fest, I always run into somebody I know, and it just makes me kind of proud and happy to live in a place that does make a real good attempt to bring people together for all kinds of different events.
You just see all of the people who you might see out at the grocery store or in schools or in community buildings just coming together. I think it's really important for our mental health, especially these last couple years, to feel that you have a community you can feel supported by and also support in return. And I think Eagan does an amazing job of doing that.
Really is amazing how our community, including our Parks and Recreation team, nonprofits, associations, and others, worked together to connect and include over the past year. We've learned that while some connections and reconnections happen organically, some need a little bit of a kickstart. It's imperative when in rooms like this, filled with community leaders like yourselves, that we ask, what are we doing to create and recreate these networks? How can we collaborate to better serve our community? And what can we do to be intentional about reaching out to community members who may not feel connected or invited. Today, I'll highlight just some of the work that our team is doing with our community and the services we provide to fulfill our mission, our vision, and our values. You've heard me share it, and you've witnessed it yourselves. Our public safety team, police and fire, work tirelessly to keep us safe and to connect us with the community. It's never been more important to build links between public safety and community, and they continue to invest in these relationships. For example, our police host community events to connect, like Coffee with a Cop, Shop with a Cop, Connect 4 with a Cop, and even Cops and Bobbers. Roger, I really do appreciate the effort, but we should maybe get together about some creativity in naming. It's one thing, however, for me to talk about these events. It's another entirely to see them in action.
Cops and Bobbers is designed to offer opportunities for kids that may not have a chance to fish to come out to some local lakes in Eagan and experience some of the fisheries that we have. They'll be spending time out in the boats with some of our officers. They'll be spending time fishing from a pier behind us. And then they're also going to get to see what we do on a daily basis.
I came out to learn a little bit about fishing and talk to the police, see a little bit about how they interact with the community. It's a way to see that the police are good guys, that they care about the community and care about, making memories with family and with the community.
You might only see us on your worst day. This gets to show you that we are people. We're invested in this community, and it's a way for us to give back.
While the Eagan Police Department's engagement is top-notch, I do not want to gloss over the serious nature of what they do and how hard they work to serve our community. Eagan Police are always adapting and using new technology to help them find the best way to do their job and help us when we need it most. In fact, they've invested in training practices and equipment that help them get to you quickly and safely while ensuring the long-term health and safety of our community, our officers, and the people that they serve. For example, the police department's drone team has evolved greatly since its inception 3 years ago. Take a look.
The drone technology that we've been using here at the Eagan Police Department has evolved dramatically since we began our program. We recognize that this piece of technology has a significant public safety benefit if we were to employ it across the police department. It's a complicated process to become a drone pilot because not only do our officers have to learn how to fly the drones and gain competency in all of the areas surrounding their use, but they also have to receive a license from the FAA as a commercial drone pilot.
You kind of have to hit the books and be familiar with drones, airspace, in addition to kind of like the flight restrictions and the weather and cloud patterns.
There's a lot of type of calls that benefit from having a drone available. It's primarily incidents where we're searching for somebody.
You have kind of the vulnerable adults or kids. You have individuals that flee on foot. It allows us to kind of cover a lot of ground.
Drones are a safer approach to calls because they allow us to send a drone into a situation where it's not otherwise safe to send an officer, particularly inside structures.
We aren't rushing in to see what's going on. We're watching from a distance sometimes, and drones gives us the ability to do that.
In these instances, there's a lot of unknowns of how many individuals are involved, if there's weapons involved, if they're still on site.
And it's much safer for us to risk a few $100 drone getting damaged versus one of our officers or a member of the community being injured. We have the capability of putting a drone up in the air within minutes of that 911 call and start searching. Anytime we have a situation like that, every minute counts.
These really are good tools for de-escalating situations and should be invested in the future.
Thank you to our Eagan Police Department and officers who continue to adapt and connect their work to our community's needs. Coupled with training and a commitment to ensure that everyone is treated professionally and with respect, they are having a positive impact. And we have experienced a 2-year decline in crime in Eagan. Our fire department also takes great pride in opening their doors each year to thousands of residents and sharing fire safety practices. And on top of that, they build connections at community events so that they have your trust to serve and help you in your most difficult moments. It's these connections and trust that help firefighters efficiently respond to nearly 33% more calls in 2022 than in 2020. Our full-time staffing model has our firefighters responding to medical calls, which has helped us better balance our public safety operations. They also continue to connect the dots on best practices to help them respond more efficiently to that increased call volume. No one says it better, perhaps, than our Fire Chief, Hugo Searle, who says, when you need help, you don't care about the name on the fire truck, ambulance, or squad. You care about receiving the help that you need quickly. And that philosophy has informed how our fire department operates and cooperates with surrounding communities through mutual aid. Essentially, while jurisdiction is important, if we can help someone in another community, or another community's fire department can help someone in need in Eagan, we have the structure to do exactly that. On the morning of November 13th, 2021, freezing rain led to hundreds of car crashes across the Twin Cities. And our team found themselves responding to a multi-car accident on an icy bridge. When the team found out that the ambulances arriving wouldn't be enough, they called Burnsville, who came over and provided the necessary transport. It was that aid and connection that helped us help our community. But to be honest with you, I kind of stepped on the lead there. Fortunately, Frank, Amelia, and the WCCO team told the whole story of how Eagan fire crews responded to provide aid that day.
Well, an Eagan firefighter and Marine veteran is being recognized for his life-saving actions last November.
Paul Burgett rushed in to help and save people during a massive pile-up crash, even after being hit himself. This is the video from that day. Our Kirsten Mitchell sat down with the firefighter, who many are calling a hero.
It was actually one of the first cold days.
November 13th, 2021 is a day Eagan firefighter Paul Burgett will never forget.
I think it caught a lot of people by surprise because bridge decks had iced over that morning.
Paul Burgett and his crew were at a crash nearby when they saw multiple vehicles collide here on Cedar Avenue near 35E.
So he ran across the highway to help a couple and pulled the trapped woman out of the van.
And as I turned, I saw a white SUV sliding towards us. The last thing I remember was seeing her being knocked upside down.
Both were hit by a car going 45 miles an hour.
I attempted to get up and move her off of the highway, and I realized my left leg wouldn't bear my body's weight. And I asked the husband to help me, and we were able to bring her off the highway to a place of safety.
About a dozen cars were in the pileup, but everyone survived. After months of recovery from surgeries and PTSD, Burgett returned to work in June, more dedicated than ever.
And that training really paid off, and so it's given me a new energy and focus to continue to do this work and to be a positive part of the community.
Do you feel like a hero?
I don't feel like a hero. Everyone was doing their part. There were some lives that were in danger, and there were some lives that were saved, but everyone went home, and the system worked.
In Eagan, Kirsten Mitchell, WCCO 4 News.
It's unbelievable.
It is. Everyone winced when they saw that video. It's so
Yeah.
scary. We're happy to report that last month, Burgett received the Minnesota American Legion Firefighter of the Year award. So very well deserved.
Yeah.
Paul, congratulations on your recognition as Firefighter of the Year. I know Paul remains humble, but his actions on that day were truly heroic, and we can't thank you enough, Paul. So I'd also like to recognize the other firefighters who were present on that day. Would you all please stand and be recognized as well? As if fated, just 2 days ago, we got another reminder of how public safety officers can be in harm's way in the blink of an eye. At 5:08 a.m. on Tuesday, Officer Cade Eagan was responding to an emergency call that was involved in a serious accident with a semi-truck and another vehicle on 35E. Officer Eagan was transported by ambulance to Reason Hospital, where he is listed in critical but stable condition. Thankfully, no one else was injured. Officer Eagan, please know that the city and the community is thinking of you and praying for a speedy and a full recovery. And thank you, and while we're at it, thank you. Thank you. And while we're at it, let's take just one moment and thank all of our public safety officers and personnel, fire and police. Please stand up while we take an opportunity to recognize you, your work, and what you do to keep our community safe. I'm always committed to make sure you get up and down a few times during the speech. It's kind of like morning calisthenics. But speaking of keeping our community safe, our council continues to prioritize building quality and safety throughout our community. One way that we do that is by keeping our neighborhoods healthy, creating diverse housing options, and ensuring safety in living spaces. Eagan's housing stock is mature, and much of it is now in need of big-ticket maintenance items. Moreover, the use of housing is shifting. In fact, including single-family and multifamily units, more than 25% of Eagan's homes are now rented. There are over 8,000 registered rental properties here in Eagan, and over 1,400 of those would typically be owner-occupied, including single-family homes. What that tells us is that rentals are present throughout the community, including in your neighborhood. As housing ages, communities can see unintended consequences like deferred maintenance and less attention to safety features such as smoke detectors. And that's why in the coming days, the council will consider adopting a new rental licensing ordinance that will create accountability and help ensure safe housing in Eagan for everyone. Through our engagement efforts to inform this public policy, we heard from nearly 500 Eagan residents, including renters, landlords, and homeowners. And what they said was that safety in housing is a top priority. Our policy will align with that value. The good news is that we know those homes are already connected to safe water, streets, and utilities thanks to our public works and inspection teams. One of our competitive advantages is that our businesses have access to a robust multimodal transportation and transit system that connects us to local, national, and international markets. But thanks to our public works team, we also have a strong local infrastructure for cars, bikes, and pedestrians that keep you connected to our parks, our schools, and our businesses. And while we see and appreciate the efficiency of travel above ground, they also maintain the infrastructure we don't always see, including how our water moves throughout the city, to and from our homes and our local waters.
The City of Eagan is dedicated to providing top-quality resources essential to our residents and businesses. Water is at our foundation with over 1,200 lakes, ponds, and wetlands in Eagan. We've spent the past 30 years protecting and treating the water throughout our city and ensuring the water flowing to homes is clean and safe, leaves efficiently, and is treated on the way out.
We are always investing and innovating to assure you, the public, get good, clean, quality water at a top value.
We can do all of this because of our bold vision that includes leading, learning, and serving.
Our dedicated team of 24 utility staff works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to make sure that we deliver our almost 3 billion gallons of water to you, the residents and commercial businesses inside the City of Eagan.
We make these investments to take care of our immediate needs and to serve the future of our community.
Last year, our public works team put together the plan that will maintain and fund our infrastructure for decades to come. Just as generations of Eaganites have laid the groundwork for our current success, we are taking the steps to ensure connections, literally and figuratively, for the success of future residents and businesses. It's also important that we see the connection between our economic strength, long-term investments in our community, and our ability to provide top-notch services. We in Eagan are proud of the fiscal continuity that we maintain, including our AAA bond rating, our low debt, strong fiscal management, and policies that support our local economy. As a result, we had over $166 million privately invested in our community in 2022. But still, we aren't immune to the economic factors happening in the world. Inflation and interest rates are slowing down the development pipeline, which impacts growth in Eagan, just as it does in our region, state, and nation. The world is also waiting to find out how companies will respond to shifts in how people work and its impact on office space. Not that office space, Sarah. That office space. Companies still need office space, but they want to see it be easy to get to with nearby restaurants, shops, and trails, because businesses want to incent their workers to come into the office. So the work that Eagan has put into providing great locations like Vikings Lakes and Central Commons will pay off as we continue to attract businesses and office users. Over the coming months and years, we will prepare for needed adjustments in the office space. Like how we're beginning a small area plan for the Central Commons and preparing for Thomson Reuters' move as well, hoping to ensure that these properties maintain a positive impact on our community. If we include Blue Cross Blue Shield and Prime Therapeutics, In this conversation of businesses that are or may be evaluating the future of their office space needs, these combined properties make up 4% of our property tax capacity in Eagan. That's significant. We are mindful of the economic climate and accustomed to weathering storms. Whether it's Cedar Grove, Central Park Commons, or Vikings Lakes, we position ourselves to turn the corner. We have turned our biggest losses in that moment into our greatest assets. We've been intentional about the diversity of development and employment sectors in the city, including industrial, retail, office, service, and medical. That protects our city during times of economic fluctuation and change. And when you add all of these together, our culture of seeking economic diversity, our ability to see downfield and weather storms, the investments in infrastructure, our proximity to Minneapolis and St. Paul and the MSP International Airport, the balance in our local economy, and the trust we've built, you get the successful city and the strong community that Eagan has been for so long. With all of these factors aligned, or connected, if you will, we can and will continue to build and fund our community's future. Now, as you've heard me share each year, we are a more diverse community than ever before, and the stats back me up on that. Last year, I said that we needed to focus on the community we will become. So I hope that in the last year, you've heard about our Race Equity and Inclusion Initiative, which we believe will help us as an organization grow. Thanks to help from the Center for Economic Inclusion, here's how we're getting started.
The City of Eagan is inclusive and equitably serves our racially diverse community so that everyone can thrive. The REI vision was developed out of a conversation that started with our City Council and staff several years ago, where we recognized we needed to address the issue of race equity here in the City of Eagan. We knew that we first needed to look inside before we could go externally to the community. We worked with the Center for Economic Inclusion, brought them in to help our staff learn, grow, look at our policies and our practices to make sure we're improving and really striving to be an equitable community for everyone in Eagan.
Our mission is committed to closing racial wealth gaps, employment gaps, as well as educational gaps throughout the MSP region and throughout the nation as well. Through those root cause analysis and activities, we were able to identify that there is an ongoing issue and challenge of seeing that the City of Eagan's workforce doesn't currently reflect the current demographics of the city.
As we've been working with the Center for Economic Inclusion, they have helped us look at the racial makeup here at our city staff. We know that we want our staff to better represent the community as a whole, and we have work to do.
The City of Eagan has been able to see some growth around cultural and ethnic diversity, much like the MSP region. In 2021, we've seen that 93% of the City of Eagan staff identified as white, the remainder of that identifying as BIPOC, although the city has a percentage of 73% of demographics identifying as white. In 2022, there was a shift, that shift being that there was an increase in BIPOC staff that were hired within the City of Eagan, so there is progress being made currently.
Eagan strives to create a community where everyone thrives, regardless of the race.
Thank you to all of our team members who are embarking on this work. It is important to know where we were, where we are now, and where, most importantly, we want to go. As Diane and Kosar highlighted, in 2021, just 6% of our staff were people of color, compared to nearly 30% who make up our city's population. In a single year of focused effort, we've increased representation on our staff by 4%. We are indeed now a step closer to reflecting the community that we serve. And thank you as well to our community members who will join us in this journey so that the impacts are felt and seen both inside and outside the walls of City Hall. And as if taking on one major initiative wasn't enough, our team will also focus on another opportunity that is imperative to our community's future and health, and that you've shared with us is a top priority: our natural environment. You've heard me say it from this stage. There is nothing more essential to our collective health than the air and the water around us. That's why Eagan has launched a sustainability initiative to help future generations enjoy the same high-quality natural environment that we value today. Well, I don't really need to talk about the environment more. Let's just show you what we're doing and what we will do.
This is a community that really cares about the natural environment. We know from our previous survey results that 97% of residents rate our quality of the natural environment really highly. That's the same rating they're giving to the economy and public safety. So we know it's one of the most important things to our community members. We know that residents are also taking steps at home. They're saving water, they're conserving energy, and they're recycling. It's all part of what they do because they care so much about our natural environment. We know Minnesota's climate is already changing. We see it in our warmer winters, our drier, hotter summers, and more frequent and intense rainfall. One of the things that we really need to do with our sustainability plan is to be prepared in our infrastructure and our operations to deal with these big extremes that we're seeing. Eagan will work hard to make sure that future generations can enjoy the same high-quality natural environment that we love and care about so much today.
Minnesota State climatologists warn us about the changes in temperature and precipitation. By 2050, Eagan's average temperatures will shift up by about 7 degrees. Heat waves are the deadliest severe weather events in the United States each year. Summers in Minnesota are getting hotter with more extreme swings from drought to large rain events, and winters are getting warmer and icier. The time to act is now. While I'm proud of the work that we've done, there is still much more for us to do. So here I've laid out 2 bold initiatives that the city is taking on. And these won't wrap up neatly with a bow in the next year. We have complex and continuous work ahead. I suspect that instead of being 2 isolated initiatives, we will find that equity and sustainability are inextricably connected. And we must explore that connection for either effort to be truly successful. What we want to learn is if the event impacts are more severe for our vulnerable community members who may be hit harder by economic and health consequences of environmental instability. For instance, do lower income community members have less of an ability to recover from the impacts of damaging storms and inhospitable temperatures? How does an increase in utility bills impact those who may not have the economic security of others in our community? And most importantly, what can we do as a city, as community, and as individuals to stymie these effects and to make a difference? As we plan these two strategic initiatives, we will strive to understand how environmental and racial disparities show up in our city, and if we are all experiencing the impacts in the same way. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by initiatives and issues this big and nuanced. However, as daunting as they are, sustainability and race equity are key issues that impact our community every day. They may just be the two most important public policy issues we and the next generation face. I'm eager to work alongside and support the dedicated and talented professionals on Team Eagan. Together, we'll discover the key leverage points that will improve outcomes and connect our efforts to ensure an equitable and sustainable future here in Eagan so that everyone can thrive. I want to thank you for connecting with me and with all of us today. I hope that you leave knowing that Eagan is committed to connecting the dots of our mission, vision, and values to the services we provide our community. We will do this through tried and true ways and new ways that will bridge us to our future. And I hope also that you're invigorated to make new connections of your own. I look forward to connecting with you over the next year, whether it's on engagement efforts around racial equity and sustainability, or if it's at Eagan Market Fest, the Food Truck Festival, Solstice, or Vikings Training Camp, at Capone Art Park, or at an Aurora game, at Caribou, or on a golf course in support of our police. Wherever it is, let's be sure to connect soon. Thank you.